Hello and welcome to Studio B at Ball State University. My name is Gerry Appel for J Ideas. I'm here today with Brian Hayes of Ball State University. Brian is a former high school newspaper advisor, and he is now the coordinator of secondary education and the workshops for the Ball State Department of Journalism. So Brian, thank you for joining us.
Thank you.
And today we're going to talk a little bit about yearbooks and how advisors can be financially responsible with a yearbook. And just to start off with, if you're a brand new yearbook advisor, what can you really do when you're picking a publisher?
Interview is the primary focus. I think the more yearbook companies you talk to, the more reps you talk to, the better feel you're going to have for what the companies are all about, what kind of options they have to offer you, what kind of technology maybe they could offer you and your staff to help with the coordination and the design and publishing of the yearbook itself. And really get to know the reps too. I think that's a real key.
So once a yearbook advisor has a publisher, how can the advisor get the most bang for his buck?
It all comes down to the yearbook reps. When you're talking to them and you're trying to negotiate prices and fees for the actual publication and how many pages your book's going to be, how much color you're going to have in it, what the cover is going to consist of, whether it's embossed or there's going to be a cutout, talk to them about all those different options and see what is actually available to you. When you are discussing all these options with them, talk about, your budget too, and let them know where you stand as far as how much money you can afford to pay for all those different options. And once you do talk to those things, or talk about those things, then you can go back and, when you're talking to other reps and interviewing them, you can say, well, this company told me I can get this for this price, what can you guys do for me? What can you offer me that's better or different than what they're offering me? And I think oftentimes you're going to find, yearbook companies are going to be really willing to work with you. They want your business, and especially if you're at a sizable school, a fairly large school, they're going to want that business. So it comes down to the options that they can offer and how much you can actually get the book published for.
You mentioned some of those bells and whistles like the embossed covers and the plexiglass and other options. Mm-hmm. Is that a trap that yearbook advisors can fall into?
Sure, absolutely. There's a lot of different things you can do. And sometimes, maybe the motto is just simple is better. There's a whole lot of different things you can do, whether or not it's right for you and right for your students and right for your school. That's for you and your students to decide. As a yearbook advisor, I would lay out those options to my kids and say, this is what's available to you. This is what you could do. This is how much money we have. So let's figure out what's the best thing for us. Don't worry about all that glam and glitz, per se, but do what's right for you and your students.
So when it comes to finances, does the size of the yearbook's budget, can that affect the yearbook's quality?
The quality, no, absolutely not. If you have well-trained student journalists on staff and you've done your job to educate them on what's good, what looks good, that's what's going to be counted on the most. People are going to look at the book for what the content is, not necessarily for how much money you paid to get the book printed or how much color you have in the book or how much money you spent on the cover. It's going to come down to the content.
What is a way for yearbooks to raise money?
There's a lot of different ways. Advertising dollars obviously is a big place where most high school yearbooks will raise their revenue. And within advertising in yearbooks, selling senior ads, big moneymaker for a lot of yearbooks. And senior ads, when I talk about those are basically kind of like, well wishes that parents or friends can buy, space in the advertising section in the yearbook, and put in, hey, good luck, congratulations on, such a terrific high school career. We wish you all the best, when you go off to college and things like that. Those are the senior ads, and they make a lot of money, and they're a nice part of the yearbook too. It's for different friends and parents to recognize their loved ones and the people who they're closest to. Other opportunities, I mean, you have all kinds of fundraisers that you could do, car washes, rummage sales. We've done those before, and you know, they can raise a substantial amount of money. And anything that you can do to make the fundraising fun for the students, you know, is going to work in your benefit as well. You know, homecoming activities. You know, having a game or something at, you know, the homecoming pregame, something like that, you know, a hot dog eating contest or a pizza eating contest. I don't know what it might be, but, you know, you charge, you know, some sort of entry fee, and it's not only makes a little bit of money for you and your yearbook staff, but it also is a lot of fun for the other students at your school.
What role does the principal play when an advisor is getting ready to sign a contract with a publisher?
The principal is going to have ultimate say in what yearbook company you decide to go with at your school. Even though it's the advisor's job and his or her responsibility to work with the yearbook company and work with the yearbook rep, you know, on all the different issues as far as, you know, paying your bills and meeting your deadlines and doing all those things, you know, it's the principal that's going to make that final okay or decision. Most often than not, you know, if the advisor has a good relationship with the principal and they, the principal is going to go along with whatever the recommendations the advisor makes. But it's always, you know, I guess good practice to go to your principal first to make sure, you know, what you're doing is the right, you know, process and procedure for that in particular school district. You know, the principal of the school also is going to have, you know, a little bit of say too as far as, you know, what the content's going to be into that book. They might have a little bit of insight as far as, you know, what would be some good issues or some stories that would need to be covered. You know, you typically have, you know, a faculty, you know, album. I mean, that's just a good idea. I mean, so that students, you know, years down the road, you know, are going to flip through the book and they're going to see all their old teachers and faculty members at that school. They're also going to have a little bit of say too as far as, you know, what would be appropriate coverage of different events and things like that. I mean, it's a book of history, and it's a book of record, and you want to make sure that you cover all your bases and you cover all the important events that happen at the school. So, you know, just double checking with your principal before everything's set as far as pages go and content, just to make sure you didn't forget and leave something important out. It's always good to talk to the principal about those issues.
Well, when it's all said and done and the yearbook comes out and the yearbook staff comes up with a tidy little profit, where can those funds go?
You know, you would hope that you'd be able to keep all those funds and all those profits and to help better your own publication. Most oftentimes that money is spent on technology. I mean, the more involved we get into our publications, you know, the more we're doing ourselves. Yearbook companies themselves aren't doing as much of the layout, design, and pre-press work as they used to be several years ago. A lot of schools are now, you know, taking digital images, they're placing those images directly onto the page, and they're submitting, you know, those pages directly to press. So it's cut out a lot of the, I guess, cut out and paste stuff that yearbooks used to go through. So with that comes a lot of technology needs. You need software, you need cameras, you need obviously good computers that have good graphics capabilities and things of that nature. You need to be careful and make sure that when you are negotiating, you know, contracts and fees and prices and profits, that you do work with your administrators on how that money is going to be spent. Sometimes that money would go, any profits that you have would go towards the general activity fund at the school. While that's not, you know, a terrible misuse of money, you know, yearbook advisors do need to be aware that that's an issue that they probably need to talk to their administrators about to make sure that any profits they make, they might be able to put back into their own publications. If not all, at least, you know, a portion of it would be great.